You go across the world and you see a very consistent relationship between a massive increase in immigration and a massive increase in housing prices. And we have to be honest about that. Well, I see one of our nice representatives out here wants to actually, I guess, continue to flood the country with illegal immigrants, making your communities and citizens unaffordable. But ma'am, with all respect, one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing is because we want to make it more affordable for Americans to live. That is one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing.
And he went on to say, of course, now it takes, basically two incomes to afford housing in this country, and how illegal immigration is a huge deal because it is sucking up a lot of the affordable housing in certain states right now.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't when like JD Vance slams protest. JD Vance just uttered common sense that somehow you're not allowed to say, and it has nothing to do with whether you like immigrants or you don't like immigrants, this is just pure math. It's pure math. And any sane person would know that if you bring in a bunch of illegals, right, it's gonna cause all these problems. This should not be controversial, but it is. And what's sad is that so many people who work in these cities don't want to acknowledge the basic reality that would make American citizens' lives better.
And when you have millions of people that are potentially going to be deported from this country, guess what? Everybody's rents are going to be starting a little bit more affordable. Like, it'll take time because this is a slow moving thing, but it will eventually get there.
In places like California, I mean, this should be obvious, but what's weird is people have been psyoped into thinking that it's no big deal and it has nothing to do with the cost of housing. And it really is crazy. This is just basic math that city administrators, the people who are actually in charge, perhaps, of the city where you live, they just deny it. They deny it. And so this truth coming out, that response, now there's momentum behind that. And I think everyone in the nation is going to have to acknowledge some of these basic truths moving forward.
Well, we were just talking about the three factions of the Democratic Party with Chris Bedford. So Kamala Harris, the former vice president, she held this job right before JD Vance. Let's go ahead and take a look at what she was up to today.
At what point do we also uplift and highlight the consumer's right to also expect, and you can debate with me if it should be a right, I think it should, to expect that the innovation would also be weighted in terms of solving their everyday problems, which are beyond my craving for Doritos, but about whatever, and I know the work is happening around, the scientific discoveries, for example, to cure long-standing diseases. But I'm going to throw out another one. And you all, again, please get back to me any information you have. I would love it if there would be an investment of resources in solving the affordable housing issue in America. Like, help me with that.
They eventually got to the same point, but they held the same job, and she wanted to be the leader of the free world. You hadn't seen this yet, and I feel like your brain is about to explode.
I feel the brain cells leaving my body, and it hurts. It hurts. I am just so glad, thankful. I don't want to respond to her comments. I'm just so thankful that woman is not someone that I have to watch anymore. I don't know what kind of pills she's on or whatever, but that was just painful.
She kept going on and saying that she would give up her rights for basically the Doritos that she wanted to be delivered by Uber Eats. And I'm like,
is she spiraling right now?
How did they hold the same job, right? We know that Joe Biden was doing the auto pen signatures now for more people over at the Heritage Oversight Project. I don't know what her excuse is.
I don't know if that's a one-off, but if there's more clips like that out there, maybe I should go and just suffer through the pain to see if she's kind of spiraling into oblivion at this point.
This is what she has been up to ever since they took her off the campaign trail.
Well, talk about dodge a bullet. I mean, just the difference between a year ago and now, that we actually had to put up with that for so long. Thank God.
Well, and you can definitely see that we have a much different way of life now. It is much better for the American people with JD Vance as vice president, Kamala Harris nowhere near the White House anymore. But you know what? If we want to keep this way of life, There's a lot that we still have to do to maintain this.
Yeah, my thought for the day is that as we all watch what's happening, it's very easy to get excited, and you should be excited because we can talk about a golden age. We can talk about so many wonderful things that are happening in our nation's capital and perhaps throughout the country. But the battle isn't over, and the danger is that we allow other people to do the work for us, that we think, Donald Trump is, coming in to save the country, and his administration is great, and we believe those things. I see great things happening there. But if you think that that's all there is to it, right, or we just allow ourselves to coast because of those things that are happening, there won't be a golden age. What really needs to happen, the lesson of the election is so many people got out there and went to work since 2020, from the day that Trump lost the election. Everyone realized the corruption and everything that had happened, and so many people throughout the country went to work during that time. That is how he won. The next step is for every American to go to work, and not just to let your imagination make you happy, not to think that arguments are going to make everything fine, but for you yourself to take ownership and to start thinking about the way of life that makes sense for you in this 21st new American century. And that's going to take a lot of people in a lot of different sectors, and you see it happening all over, and you should take heart, look around, follow those leaders, and get inspiration from the people who are moving. So, for instance, manufacturing, is coming back. There are many young people who are working with people in finance to bring manufacturing back to America. When it comes to media, there's all kinds of moves that various companies are making. You can see what we're doing here at Blaze. So, in each sector of the economy, you see a new way of life, a new way of progressing and moving forward, taking shape. And no matter what you're doing in your own life, you have to think about that. You can't lose sight of that, because ultimately the work of making America great again is the work of making you and your family great again. And we all need to remember that moving forward.
Well, and we get the reminder today, Elon Musk can't do it all. He's busy today with all the cyber attacks that are happening there for X.
Yeah.
So even Trump's bestie probably had to take the day off of doging to go back and run the actual companies that he is the CEO and owner of.
Well, look, Elon hires great people to run these companies, which is why he can do what he does. He hires incredible teams, and he bounces around all over the place. So, he's always doing various jobs in every day that goes by. In this particular case, though, with X, I think the main interest that Elon's going to have after he gets this thing back to work is who did this and how to punish them. And whoever did it is going to receive his wrath and the wrath perhaps of other parties as well. So I find it very interesting. You knew these attacks were coming. These attacks have been there all the time. It's not a surprise that this happened. But what's different about this time is, I don't think that Uncle Elon is going to take this very kindly. And the ... in that tweet is a threat back to whoever did this to him.
Well, it is important, though, just to look back at the way of life in our conversation with Mark Meadows, where he says he believes that the Republicans are going to have a honeymoon up through May.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's great. We can get things done through May.
Right.
And then what? Then you have to fight. Then you have to go back and realize that trying to take down the deep state, the administrative state, is going to be a years-long, if not decades-long battle to get this back and fixed in Washington, D.C., if it's even possible to do entirely at all.
The deep state, the administrative state, has existed for decades because they wait people out. They know that they're not going to go anywhere. You can come in and you can change everyone on the top that's a political appointee in the top of the pyramid. You change all them out. They don't care. The rest of the ship is occupied by the pirates. And you can maybe even go a little deeper and you fire some people. Who cares? They exist to wait you out, to tell you what you want to hear. They're all pragmatists. And that's a problem, because unless you change the very shape of the boat, you have to change the structure of government, we won't change anything. But I think this principle applies to the entire potential golden age that reaches out before us. And the point is, it's not just going to be till May. There's a honeymoon period to race forward in that time, get as much done as you can. But you want to set up a situation in which, moving forward for decades, right, you and your family are going to be moving in a different direction as opposed to one that leads to decay and corruption. And that's what we want. But that's why we're here. We're not going to go anywhere, and we're going to keep on keeping on and holding people accountable, including ourselves.
And legacy media is still going to make your hair set on fire. I was watching basketball yesterday, and then 60 Minutes came on directly after the basketball game. And the first 30 seconds of 60 Minutes had me going, oh, are you kidding me? Right? Like, it didn't even take an entire segment. It was just that quick little hit off the top.
We're going to make a better 60 Minutes here. We're going to make a better 60 Minutes weekly show, get everyone on to do the investigative. The thing about it is they're done, right? They're done, Jill. I mean,
they're like, Trump fired us. We're nonpartisan. We've been nonpartisan for 40 years. If you think that anyone believes that you're actually nonpartisan, we don't.
Elon,
We're over it.
Elon,
Thanks for
we're going to
watching,
make
everybody.
69 Minutes right here.
See you back here tomorrow.